Hi, Brooklyn. How are
I-
you?
I'm good. How are you, Katerina?
Good, good. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
it's Mike, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I assume Brooklyn somehow.
It's the same. It's all good.
Oh, okay, cool. You live in Brooklyn? Are you from Brooklyn?
Yes, I am.
Cool. I live in Brooklyn too.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. What part you in?
East Williamsburg. If that's a new thing, I think it's a real estate name for that place.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know where you at. Yeah, I'm from old Brooklyn. I'm not there anymore though. I'm down south in Atlanta.
Ah, okay. How is it? I think it's nice,
It's
right?
it is nice. Hold on for a second. I'm sorry. I'm getting a call.
Sure. Hi everyone, thanks for coming. We'll start in a few minutes. We're waiting for the guest speaker and we'll start. Our rooms always usually start on top of the hour. So, yeah, thanks for coming. It will be really interesting. And you can start checking out the website from our guest speaker about his research. Yeah, it will be, I think, a really interesting discussion with, a lot of migration um, and also climate change. Due to climate change, people having to find a different place to live. I think this is a really important research he's doing. And yeah, I'm really honored that he came and said yes and came here to share this with us. So thank you, everyone. Hi, Joyce. How are you?
Hi, Katerina. I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. Thank you. Looking forward to the talk today. I think it's such an important topic right now, like in the future. So
Yeah, definitely. Looks very interesting. It's hard to imagine, but unfortunately, people have to deal with that.
I'm sharing in the chat the two papers he has recently published on this topic. He will discuss with us here today. They are open source, so you can just click on the link and check them out. They're really interesting. And stay tuned. We'll start in a few minutes. How's everyone surviving the heat wave? Do you have some special tricks to get through this?
Well, it's funny you should ask because I just came from the room that Ben is hosting, and the topic is how to use less air conditioning. And so we've been talking all about that. I'm in Southern California, and um, I I just adjust. I kind of have the philosophy of getting used to warmer temperatures, and I don't really suffer from the heat, but my body is kind of adapted to it, and it's not a big deal for me. But if I lived in San Bernardino, or if I lived in the desert and I had a different sort of house and stuff, I would have to use air conditioning, of course. But yeah, how are you doing with it?
Um, Yeah, hi. First of all, hi, is it? Thank you for coming. I hope I'm saying your name right. Um, the unmute button is all the way on the right bottom. There's a little
Okay.
microphone. Yep.
Can
How
you
are
hear
you
me now?
today? Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Thank you for coming.
No,
We really
thank you very
appreciate.
much. Thank you.
While we were waiting, we have a few minutes left. We were discussing how we are coping with the heat wave right now.
That's
And
right.
yeah, so I feel like when it's dry heat, like dry, it's fine. I can cope well. But when it's humidity without wind, then it's really hard. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't get
yeah,
much dry here. I mean, I don't get much moist heat here, but occasionally.
yeah. That's the dry one is fine, but maybe it's just because I didn't grow up with like this humidity. But um, yeah, welcome everyone. Please, you can check out the website and that Ezenwa Olumba shared with us here today about his research. And then I'll switch in a minute when we start to the PowerPoint presentation. And the papers that we are discussing, you can find in the chat. They are open source, so you can just click on them and read the full paper. So yeah, we're looking forward to discussing this, and we'll start in around 2 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, Frank. How are you?
I'm fine. I have something to eat in the background, but yeah, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Do you have still a heat wave in Germany, or is it done now in
Right
Germany?
now it's done. Right now it's done. Probably will come back next week, but not as high as it was the last two times. Right now it's really great. It's 24 degrees, sunshine, everything. And in a couple of days it seems like we have 2 days of rain. Finally, I hope that remains that way.
That's nice. We still have a heat wave this week in New York, but it's getting better again, and I guess let's see if it comes back or not. I don't know. We'll
Oh,
see.
by 24, I mean Celsius, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I always think I still think in Celsius. I can't adapt to the Fahrenheit. Although people tell me it's better for like felt temperatures. It's more granular. People say in the range where it's like room temperature. But for me, it still doesn't make too much sense. But
So I'm really looking forward to the talk here.
yes, definitely, and we can actually start. It's top of the hour. So, welcome everyone to the Science Society here today, and a special welcome, of course, to our guest speaker um, that will present this really interesting topic. Ezenwa Olumba, welcome. Thank you for coming. And before we start, let me give you a
Thank you very
little bit.
much.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Before we start, I'll give you a short introduction. so that you get to know our guest speaker a little bit. Um, Eze researches and writes about issues that are at the intersection of memory, migration, and politics. He has he's mostly or very much interested in how violence, culture, atrocity on people, and other life experiences influence people's emotions, collective actions, immobility or mobility aspirations, and identities. He published research articles in leading peer reviewed journals, and he's a regular contributor to the Conversation UK and the London School of Economics blog. And he lived and studied in Germany, primarily at Rhine-Wall University of Applied Sciences in Kleve, and he is nearing the end of his PhD studies at Royal Holloway University of London. And I posted the website that is about this project that we will discuss here today. And I will switch in a second to the presentation. But before we start with your presentation, we usually ask like a couple of interview questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. So, what in your life, or how come you were interested in pursuing the field of science and research? Is that something you were always interested in? Maybe you had a specific experience or a teacher in your life that guided you towards this path. Is there something, maybe like a story behind your career path or your path of in your life that you chose?
Actually, that's a good question, but I don't know how to start answering it. But the short uh, aspect of it, or the short story about it, is that, excuse me, I got a little bit of code. The short story about it is that when I was in a secondary school, I used to read a lot of John Grisham. I don't know if anyone, yeah, most people know John Grisham. So most of his novels really influenced the kind of work I do now.
Oh, that's interesting. So we're books. That's wonderful. Um, yeah, I know the the book. So yeah, that's really interesting. Um, and what led you then to do this specific, to be interested and involved in this specific project? Was there?
Okay,
Yep.
okay, that's fine. So initially, when I started my PhD, I was my PhD was focused on ecoviolence. What we call ecoviolence is the conflict over water and agricultural resources between herders and farmers across the Sahel of Africa. So that was the focus of my PhD. But in the UK, you need to do what they call upgrade before uh, you you are allowed to start your PhD proper. When you start your PhD, you start with MPhil. Then when you do your upgrade, then you start your PhD proper. So when I did my upgrade, I failed my upgrade because instead of submitting literature review, I submitted a historical chapter to the upgrade panel. So the panel said, yeah, your historical chapter is good, but it doesn't tell us how your contribution to the literature will look like. It doesn't tell us what you're bringing, the knowledge you're creating from your project. It doesn't tell us anything. So because I was misinformed, or not really misinformed. That was what uh, you know I was told to submit. So I didn't pass the upgrade. So when I failed the upgrade, they gave me only 3 months to come up with something better, or they will offer me, or they will kind of grant me MPhil. So during that period, I really got crazy. I was reading everything on planet Earth. I was reading all sorts of things. Then I came across immobility, a research that was done by a lady called Professor Shuel. So Professor Shuel's paper dealt on immobility, and it emphasized on how immobility people neglect, scholars neglect immobility and study mainly mobility. And I got across other scholars that are saying, oh, there are a lot of people who the researchers, social science researchers, are ignoring. So during this, I was able to see a gap that I needed to study, which has to do with immobility. But while trying to create a project proposal, I was intrigued by the fact that in some communities or in some places, despite the conflict in those areas, some people do not want to flee, or some people do not want to they want to live in conflict. So while this was kind of a puzzle to me. Then I started reading around all the what the literature says about these kind of people. So at the end of the long and short story is that I then got interested in knowing how atrocity or how conflict or how trauma influence people's emotions, influence what people call themselves, their identity, influence how people see themselves, influence how people's how people's behavior, how people's immobility or mobility can be understood.
Yes, and I think, yeah, that's such an interesting and so important research, because I think with climate change, everything in the future going on, this will be a more and more important topic. So yeah, thank you for doing this work and for sharing it today with us. So we are looking forward to your presentation. I will switch now the link to your presentation. It's a Adobe link, so everyone can click on it and follow along, and people will follow along. It's not a screen share, so when you switch slides, it's helpful to mention on which slide you're on, and attached to the slides is one of the papers that the title is coming from. And yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're on the first slide, which has my name on it, and also the topic of today's talk, which is cognitive immobility when you are mentally trapped in a place from the past. I've got only one, two, three, four, five slides. So the slides are because Professor Katrina requested for slides. That was why I made these 5 slides. So it's not really slides, just pictures. So the second slide is about the introduction and background to the research. So my name is Ezenwa. I'm a student and teacher at Royal Holloway University of London. This talk is meant uh, as a medium for communicating the research findings of one of my papers that was published in last June. The paper was written during the in the first during the first pandemic, the 2019 one. So the restrictions which which came as a result of the lockdowns escalated a feeling that I had been having. I've been experiencing a sort of feeling of being entrapped somewhere. So while we were during that pandemic, I resorted to journaling, just writing down the things that I was feeling. So at the end of the day, the journaling came up as a paper. It led to the paper, and the paper was published. The paper was published by the Culture and Psychology Journal, which is a Taylor and Francis publication. The brief of the findings were later published in the Conversation UK, and that really went viral. The paper, the synopsis of that paper has been republished in several languages and in many countries. The highlight of it was that I was able to develop a concept that captures the experiences of thousands of people, which I call immobility, cognitive immobility. Second slide, please. So second slide is where I'm going to explain what cognitive immobility is all about. Okay, let me start again. The first slide is about introduction. The second slide is discussing what immobility is. The third slide is explaining the causes of immobility, and the last slide is on remedies. Apologies for not, doing the introduction properly this way. So, on the second slide, we're going to discuss about what cognitive immobility is. Instead of going straight into explaining what cognitive immobility is, I want to tell a story. I interviewed an American lady recently, to be precise, on the 31st of June. The interview commenced at 01:19 hours, which AM, early morning my time, and it lasted for about 1 hour. Her name her name is Eve, and she's a clinical psychologist. She has a master's degree in clinical psychology as well. She 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 was in New York when I did the interview with her, where she met. She was in New York when I did the interview with her, and it was in New York that she met a man, a Senegalese man that she later married. So Eve contacted me because of you know because of the publication, and because of the the research, I was able to interview Eve. So Eve's name is on the her name is Eve Mbaye. So anyone can contact her. You can check her on she's on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can contact her to verify this. When we started the interview I had with Eve, I asked her when she went to Africa for the first time. I'm going to quote exactly what she told me. She said, "My first time to Senegal, Senegal is in Africa. My first time in Senegal in 1998, I had a very strong reaction to being there." I'm quoting her. "I literally said that I would be perfectly happy to die there. I felt so connected, and I cried and longed for it weeks after returning back to the US." So she only stayed 10 days in Dakar, the capital of Senegal. And when she returned to the US, she said she kept recreating, her experiences in Dakar, remembering the things she experienced or encountered in Dakar. So I asked her again how she felt while reliving her experiences in Dakar. She said, and I quote, "I felt good about the experiences, but sad that I was back in the US." So 3 years later, Sister Eve Mbaye relocated back to Africa, and she now lives permanently in Africa. But she went to New York for a visit for when I interviewed her. So I also asked her, what attracts you to Senegal most? Because I asked her if you want to go back to the US. She said no, that she doesn't want to go back to the US. I then asked her, why is it that you're so much attracted? Why is it that you're so much interested in living in Senegal? She said, and I quote, "There are external factors such as weather, food, music, and opportunities. But I have to say that it is something internal that I cannot explain. These are the things that make me to be so much involved with Africa." So she said the weather, the food, music, and opportunities, and also something internal. So from this story, we can understand that Sister Eve left the US to live in Africa. She lived in Ivory Coast and other places. She left the US to live in Africa because of the weather, the food, and opportunities, and also something else, which she called something internal in her own words. These are not mine. So It is that thing, she said, that is internal that we can describe as cognitive entrapment. So cognitive immobility is a sense, is a stressful sense of mental entrapment, just like Sister Eve was mentally entrapped in Senegal. It is a stressful sense of mental entrapment in one or multiple places, which results in a conscious or unconscious effort to recreate memories of people, places, events, cultures, and things that someone encountered in places they lived or visited in the past. Each time I give this talk or do presentation regarding cognitive immobility, I'm asked, is cognitive immobility the same as homesickness? No. Cognitive immobility is different from homesickness. Homesickness is the longing for a place that we left from, which used to be our home. There is another phenomenon that is close or related to homesickness and cognitive immobility. That's what they call Pesophene phenomenon. So it is a phenomenon where that existed among Greek wives or Greek the Greek women that were married to American U.S. Husbands. They they need they had this kind of feeling that they should be in Greece at least 6 months every year to see their moms. If not, they will get sick. So it's still longing. But cognitive immobility is different from these two phenomena because cognitive immobility entails mind entrapment, not merely longing for a home. It is about entrapment. Cognitive immobility is different from these two because the entrapment can happen in multiple places, which could be where we call home or places we visited. Just like Sister Eve, her entrapment was in Dakar, where she, had a 10-day visit. Cognitive immobility could lead to anger, feeling of loss, pain, depression, and even psychosis. Third, third slide, please. What causes cognitive immobility? I have to give another story. I met a man called Deep Bango. His name is on the slide. You can check him on the internet as well. I met Deep Bango when I was doing a talk on cognitive immobility. During the question and answer section, he asked me a question which led to our discussion about him and his life and stuff. So here is his short story. So according to Deep, and I quote, after the initial excitement of the first year in the US, the, the uprooted feeling had started to happen, but I continued and finished my graduate studies and then continued to work. It was a period of confusion, and the economic factor also made things difficult. So after I started working and I had a few friends, things got better. In those years, I still could not put a finger on the feeling, the kind of feeling he was having. But then, after a few years of work, I started to spend time in India and then move, finally decided to move back to India. So he went to the US, spent a few years, like 8 years in the US, yeah, and then he relocated to India because he couldn't bear the feeling he was having, the longing, the entrapment that he was experiencing. He couldn't bear it, so he went back to India. The story continues. Deep Bango spent 15 years in India before relocating back to the US. When I asked him why he relocated to the US, he gave a lot of reasons, which relates to the environment, quality of life, economic reasons, and so many other reasons. But he had to relocate. So again, I asked him, what's your condition? What's your state of being now? He said, I never really lost contact with India and have made regular trips back. And like I said, I have started to work on creating a sustainable community there. So it assures me a place if I decide to return back in my later years, but also a project that keeps me connected and a place for to go back to for some time of the year. So from this story, it is obvious that Mr. Deep may have left things in both countries. He still wished to go, he still wished to relocate to India someday, meaning that the US is not his home. Meanwhile, he left India for a home in the US. So therefore, there is no real home for Mr. Deep because US is not a real home for him. India is no longer a real home. So I narrated this story for two reasons. The first, to explain how someone could become homeless in a mobile world. The second is to highlight the three stages of immobility, which are: first stage, awareness and separation; the second stage, the retrieval; and the third stage, stabilization. So the first stage is the stage of uncertainty and confusion. This is the stage when someone discovers that they can't stop thinking or longing for a life experience of a place that they moved away from or they used to live in. So that was the first stage Mr. Deep was in. When he got to America, he said he got confused. He felt uprooted from India. He couldn't, cope with the kind of feelings he was having. That's the stage of awareness. The second stage, the second stage is called the stage of retrieval. This is the stage where you want to claim back, you want to visit, you want to re-experience. That was the stage Sister Eve was in when she wanted to, recreate the scenes, the smell, the sound, the music she was talking about, the way that in her mind. That's the stage of retrieval. This is the worst stage one can be in when you're experiencing cognitive immobility, because this is the stage where you have so much sadness about what you are missing, about the loss you think you are exposed to. So this is the stage a lot of people through this stage, at this stage people get a lot of pain, and at this stage the entrapped mind suffers so much. Yeah. Then the last stage is the stage of stabilization. This is the stage where you instead of seeking to regain what you've lost or what you think you've lost, or instead of aiming to get back what you think you left. You seek to retain values. You seek to establish goals. You seek to create things that will help you to alleviate the pain that is associated with the loss. This is the stage where Mr. Deep is in now. Mr. Deep, while even though he lives in the US, he is at the last stage of cognitive immobility. His mind has suffered a lot, and now he's making efforts not to reclaim or re-experience those things he used to feel he lost or he need to get back. Now he's trying to solve. He's trying to create values. That's why he said, I am creating a sustainable community. That was why he said, I have started to work on creating a sustainable community there in India. So now he is trying to create something in India while he's living in America. So he's creating values that will help him to alleviate the loss. So that's uh, the last stage of cognitive immobility. So what causes cognitive immobility? Cognitive immobility are caused by externally oriented mechanisms that are out of our cognitive control. Such mechanisms could be pleasant, excuse me, or unpleasant memories of people, incidents, culture, things, and places. So when we say that somebody's mind is trapped somewhere or is trapped in a place, it doesn't mean that the entrapment is caused by that location, but it is caused by the life experiences that were wrapped up in that location. But so you cannot eliminate the location from the experience, because the location created the location was the stage on which the life experiences were wrapped up in. So when we say that things cause cognitive immobility, it means it's not just about the place; it's about the experiences as well, like people, how you go about remembering things you had with people and stuff like that. So whenever you continually remember past episodes, be it favorable or unfavorable or unpleasant things, it will lead to cognitive immobility. Some people can find like in the last discussion I had, excuse me, the last talk I had with a group, they said, "Oh, but Eze, I when I re-experience things I did in the past, or when I re-experience me eating uh, 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 baguette in Paris or in France, it was really pleasant for me. It was like a defense mechanism for me." And I told him, yes, recreating pleasant memories can be a defense mechanism, and it can be like a sucker to alleviate the current situation, which may not be as pleasant as the previous one. Doing this at the initial stage could seem nice and helpful, but it will create a trap which will hold that person to become entrapped in the past, thereby causing cognitive immobility to creep into the life of such a person. So I answered this when some people ask me, "Oh, can somebody get cognitive immobility through pleasant memories? Must it be sad memories or trauma?" I said, yes. Through pleasant memories, you can get cognitive immobility. When you continually go back to recreate the scenes, the sounds, the smells, and the stuff that you did in the past, it will be a trap. It can entrap you. So when you are entrapped, you 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 reach the stage where you unconsciously be doing it. When you are doing it unconsciously, you are then mentally entrapped in that location, and it will start with stress. It will lead to anger, loss. It will lead to pain, then depression, and maybe psychosis. So, and again, recreating an unpleasant memory from the onset sets in unfavorable emotions and could entrap such a person as well and lead to cognitive immobility. So the last slide, please. Remedies. So remedies. Regarding remedies, this project is still an ongoing project. We've not really done research regarding remedies for cognitive immobility. These is part of the things that we're still doing. But for now, these are the suggestions that I can give regarding cognitive immobility. So, creating and sustaining four important things in our lives can help alleviate the pain that, that are associated with cognitive immobility. The number one is craft. Craft could be our profession, our volunteer services, the stuff we do, the things that pay our bills. So when a craft takes you away from focusing on the past, and you rely on the present, because if you want to pay your bills, you'll be doing your job, you'll be so busy, and you may not have time to think about where you think your mind is. Then the second one is community. Having a community, which could be friends, family, and acquaintances, will bring forth new memories and engagement, which could help to alleviate the pain associated with loss, which someone feel about some place or some things or some people. Then the third one is having time for contemplation. Meditation is a very important tool for mental health. So having time for meditation will help someone focus on his or her cognition and emotions while the person is making deliberate effort to be happy. Then the last one is good health. Good health could provide you the good mind and body to live in. But a practical something that someone can practical can someone something that someone can do now, which could be a very good step towards alleviating loss or pain that is associated with cognitive immobility, is daily journaling. Daily journaling is a practical way which could help anyone who is experiencing cognitive immobility to, to get help. No problem is new on earth. Journaling has been used over 1,000 years by people like Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and others to reconcile their past, present, and future. What you've written down is practically enclosed in the paper and not in your mind. So it helps us to take away the things that we are carrying and leave them in the paper. So let me stop here for us to have the question and answer session.
Thank you so much, Ezenwa, for this wonderful presentation and for these, interview examples. It's really striking, especially for me. My family, we were originally from Portugal, but I grew up in Germany because my mother moved there, and this, and now I live in the U.S. and this. Being trapped in another country has been a constant in my life since I'm a small child, because that was very present in our family. So thank you for doing this research and for discussing this here with us today. It's really important, and so if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand or uh, post maybe comments or questions in the chat if you would like. And yeah, we'll go from there. Joyce, Frank, do you have questions? Please flash your microphone. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Ezenwa, for having this talk and the discussion with us. I find it quite fascinating as a social scientist myself, who studied sociology, psychology, political science with a focus on international relations, conflicts, and sustainability. So I'm quite fascinated how you reframed this trauma. Into this, and I'm still looking through the paper that you attached after the first five slides. So I will definitely have a proper read after this. But I have one question that came really to my mind is, I mean, you're talking about mobility and immobility, and so I mean, we are on a social audio platform. We are on the internet, and mobile internet has really, in terms of speed, was much more accelerated with its spread than just the internet before the mobile thing. How do you relate social media or the internet, mobile internet, access to mobile internet, to this concept of, and I find it a fascinating term, to this mental entrapment? How do you relate these to each other?
Um, well, social media, like we know, it has got its good side and bad sides. I read one paper that called social media the I can't remember what exactly how to put it. It said, okay, this cognitive immobility, um, I don't know how to explain it, but what I know is that using social media, you can alleviate, you can kind of reduce the connectedness between you and your maybe someone on the other side of the planet, or someone on the other side of the the the, the connection. So, but regarding cognitive immobility, it has to do with mental entrapment. So if you are not entrapped somewhere, you may not have this feeling of loss. So even when you're entrapped, social media may not really help you to alleviate the loss. Homesickness, regarding homesickness, you can use social media to reduce the longing for a place, but you cannot use social media to alleviate the entrapment that you're experiencing about a place. You can alleviate the loss by going there, by visiting the place. You can alleviate it a little bit of by uh, when you go. That's second stage. But to alleviate the loss associated with cognitive immobility, social media may not offer so much help. Did I answer the question well?
Well, I would definitely like to talk longer about that, but
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead. Or
thank.
you can ask the question you can rephrase the question if you think I didn't understand the question
No, no,
properly.
no,
You
no, no,
rephrase
no.
it.
You definitely spoke to it, but I would rather have a much more detailed discussion on it. But I've seen Joyce. You've just flashed your mic.
Yeah, a number of things have occurred to me, and it's all very interesting, and I really appreciate your work and your sharing it with us. Um, well, one of the things that occurred to me was I wonder, you mentioned, helping to counteract this by maintaining good health and so on. And I was thinking about when people are in a different culture, they may eat very differently, and a lot of the foods really may not agree with them. And there's research indicating that you might even have an inflammatory reaction, and that inflammation can affect your mental well-being. And I'm just wondering how big an influence that might be, and also whether in a way this might be seen as a subset of a depression, and whether cognitive behavioral therapy might help if they're aware of the issue, which you are really great in bringing out. I'm done.
Okay, thank you for the question. If we go deep down a little bit with the fourth remedy that we suggested, good health, there are a lot of things which you can do under this uh, under the pathway of good health. Among the most important things you can do is simply jogging or having a walk. Food, regarding food, it can be regarding food, it is your choice on what you can eat or not. So it all boils down to you having the mindset that you want to be healthy. If you have the mindset that you want to be healthy, you may not want to eat junk food. So if there are no places for you to buy good ones, you create that good one that you would think you need. Yeah, but for good health, to maintain good health, you need to jog, you need to walk, you need to ensure that you avoid things that may, endanger your health. Uh, so that's what I would suggest under this under health and social well-being.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to comment. I agree. When my mother when we moved to Germany, food back then when we moved was still very different, and the variety you could buy was, and like what Portuguese usually ate was not too much available. So it's a big, yeah, it's a big difference to now. Nowadays, I think in many places you can buy almost anything, like almost anything from all kinds of countries. So I think nowadays is a lot easier to adapt. Would you think that maybe planning for a future in that country is really important? Because I feel like a lot of immigrants that come from beautiful countries, let's say, where they had like a tight family and so on. Usually the mindset is I'll stay here for a few years and make some money and then I'll go back. But that's really usually it's not what will actually happen. So do you think that that mindset of just staying here for a few years is problematic too?
Yes. I've been asked this question several times as well. Most immigrants. Okay, let me give you a story. There was um, an email someone sent to me. The person said, a psychologist said that um, an elderly man was sent to a care home by by his family. So at some point, it happened in the UK. At some point, they if the family if they go to visit the man at the care home, the man will be telling them, "I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home." The man originally came from Greece. I want to go home. I want to go home. So the family members felt he was being maltreated at the care home. So they took this man back to his home. So when they got back to the home, his home in England, the man kept saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. So they had to call someone, a psychologist, to, look into the issue and know exactly what the problem is all about. So when the psychologist was the one that then contacted him and said, yes, after, you know, going through the man's file and checking on him and everything, he discovered that to the man, his home or where he think home is in Greece, not in England. So he came to England with his wife. They had their children here. While here, they were still planning of going back to Greece. But at this stage now, he's old, almost 90 years. He felt, oh, I see, and I have to finally go back to that home. He has got dementia. He want to finally go back to that home. But now there is no home in Greece for him. There is no home there because life didn't wait for him in Greece. Now in England, he think, oh, here I'm not. Here is not my home. So the man is homeless. That's metaphorical homelessness. So the man is homeless. So regarding people, new arrivals, because I don't like to use that word, migrants. People arriving a country, regarding people who are arriving in a new country, it is very, very vital to expose them, to educate them regarding the three stages of cognitive immobility. I'm doing a project now with an organization in Singapore. They handle refugees and stuff. So we're preparing something that we're going to use to do seminars for refugees to kind of make them to be aware of this. That you can't just start planning. Oh, I'll be going back to Kenya in the next 10 years after earning so amount of money. At the end of the day, you wouldn't do that. By then, by then, while we are working, planning of going back, you were constantly thinking about going back. You became entrapped about going back. At the end of the day, you do not go back. Now, that place is not home for you. Kenya is no longer home for you. So it is very, very, very vital. I want to, kind of present something to the Home Office for us to create a kind of a program where we can be able to educate new people arriving so that they will be aware of options available to them. Either you make home from the onset or you do not make home from the onset. But if you really want to be happy without being confused at the end of the day, you need to make a deliberate and conscious decision about your life and how you want it to be.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And I know I'm getting to you next. It's just I would like to follow up. Um, so I think that's very important, but it's not really how usually visa systems in different countries work. And I think that's kind of also that's not the only problem, but kind of partially because usually when you migrate somewhere, like when I went, as a small kid, I went to Germany. For my mother was the same thing. Portugal was, when she moved, was not part of the EU yet. So we were on a temporary visa in the beginning. And when I came to the US here first as a PhD student, I was on a temporary visa. And if you may be a refugee, for various reasons, you are on a refugee type of visa. So they are all temporary, and the embassy where you want to go or the visa place you want to go, they tell you this is just temporary. You need to have established address in your home country in order to get this visa. So is that also part of the problem? And do we need to, because it's not realistic, right? It starts with a temporary visa, but people make their lives in that country and they get jobs and they get children and education, and then they, most of the time I would say, they stay. Should visa programs change in that mindset too, to a more realistic one, to help people integrate also more in that country and culture? Doesn't the problem that sometimes comes from not integrating, like not learning the language, maybe for the spouse, let's say, a lot of women that I met that came with the spouse don't learn the language in the first years because they think they're going back. Like, should that whole mindset and those visa programs change also?
Yeah, you spoke about two things: visa temporality and issues regarding immigration. Regarding this idea of temporary visa for new arrivals, yes, it creates this mindset of you not having to plan, having you not having a long term plan with your life. It's really a problem in among refugees. There are a lot of literature regarding this. It's a problem among a lot of refugees in Europe and a lot of places. So it's an issue which could lead to cognitive immobility, because at the end of the day, where you are not making it a home for yourself, because you are not sure if your visa will be renewed the next time you go to renew your visa. And already, if you didn't flee because of conflict, maybe you fled because of other reasons, previous home, you do not wish previous home to be home again. So at the end of the day, you've lost the other home, and there is no long term plan of you having a home here. Also, then the issue of integration, spouse not integrating, and there are a lot of people in the UK here. They live in communities where mainly the people from their social groups live. They've spent like 20, 30, 20 odd years in the UK. They do not speak English. So this is a problem that has to do with integration. This is one of the issues related to cognitive immobility. Because of cognitive immobility, because you think I will be going next week or next 2 weeks or next year, next 5 years. I don't want no. It's of no use learning the language. You will not be able to learn the language. You will not be able to integrate. When you do not integrate, you mix mainly with people from your social group. When you mix mainly with people from your social group, you may end up living your whole life in a country, believing that you'll be going back to the place you left. And at the end of the day, you won't go back there. So you've lived your life not having a home as well. So why that's what cognitive immobility is helping us to understand, that issues that relates to integration is about how the government, how people, not government, how the people, make their plans, and how their plans do not work out the way they plan it. So integrating in a society, if you want to integrate in a society, you need to make sure that you're creating a home, but the previous home, you may not want to call it a home again. You may try to make a deliberate effort, conscious effort, to create that new home here, and let the other one be maybe something else which you may not call home.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's also a very scary thing to do. I mean, based on my family's, my families live all over the world. Like, but the only part of my family that still lives in Portugal is my grandmother and my one uncle. The rest they live all over the world. The thing is also, I feel like the pressure from the family that is still there, or the culture that is still home, you kind of, don't you have that feeling of being unfaithful to your home country if you integrate too well? I feel like that's the feeling also. Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you want to answer. No. No. Go ahead.
I don't know what to say about being unfaithful to your home. So you're in a relationship with your home. So
Yeah. Maybe
when
that's
you
just
left, when you abandoned, well, first of all, let me say you are abandoned Portugal by uprooting yourself from Portugal to go to another place physically. But maybe when you were leaving, your mind was still in Portugal. So are you sure you left Portugal with with your mind and body? So that's what cognitive immobility is all about. Is saying, it's saying that most people, they leave a particular place, maybe where they visited or where they used to call home. They will live physically, but their mind is still there. So I don't know how you can reconcile this for real, because without making a deliberate, and conscious effort at creating a new home when you leave a place. So when you create a new home, you kind of try to, you know, I live when you make effort to create a new home, you're on the third stage, which is creating values, which is not trying to reclaim, what you used to have in Portugal, but to make the make your America your own Portugal. Have community of people from Lisboa in the area you communicate with the people from Lisboa in the area you live, making sure that you join the the Lisboa community within that location, integrating in the things, the cultural things they do in that your area. At the end of the day, that will be your Lisboa in USA. You get what I mean?
Yes, I know. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's just so interesting. That's why I thought
Are you
your
from
work is so
Lisboa?
important. I'm from Porto.
Okay, Porto. I used to
Um,
live in Lisboa.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
Did you like it?
a very
Yeah,
lovely place.
yeah, it is. But Porto is better. It's
I
rival
know.
cities. Okay. Einar, thank you for coming here and welcome to the stage. Please ask your question.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much. Don't have a question. Just want to say that Joyce's question was a bit racist to me, or maybe racially conscious, which is not okay at all. So please pronounce yourself correct, Joyce. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't realize that or catch that at all. But in general, we are welcoming questions of all kinds, and then we can answer. You know, our guest speaker can answer however he feels is appropriate. So, but yeah, thanks for expressing what you felt. Joyce, Frank, I know Frank, you had more questions. Would you like to ask another question?
Well, I think there could be long discussion about this concept. I'm just reminded of my own experience that is kind of a little bit in the opposite direction we're talking here, but still fits the frame. And that is, I'm born in Berlin, East Berlin, and grown up in the city, quite poor, and after the reunification of Germany, we couldn't afford lots of travel, so I didn't move around a lot, and actually I didn't. I did just one trip outside of Europe. So, but with this immobility, on the other hand, I could immerse myself in the development of this fantastic city of Berlin, which of course was gaining a lot of interest because of the history. And so the world. This is literally how I'm telling this other people how I came to experience certain things. So while being immobile, I in your framework here was cognitive mobile to the changes, the transformation, the cultural transformation of the whole Eastern European sphere and this Eastern German sphere and Berlin in specific. So I just found that this experience can be expressed through your framework, and I found that interesting. So just as an addition here, I don't think right now I have. I have a concrete, specific question, but I really liked what you presented here, and I think I'll send the paper around a bit.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Frank. Thank you. Frank, can I ask you a question?
Well, of course, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you talked about mobility and immobility. So I thought you wanted to go to a certain angle. So, but you went a little bit to that angle. So let me kind of, lead you further on that angle. When you said about you not having money when you were a little bit, when you were little, you didn't have much money to travel around.
Well, in the first 10
Yes,
years
yes,
in the
yeah,
GDR, in the first 10 years in the GDR, we moved around in the GDR quite a
yeah,
lot, actually, because it was cheap.
yeah,
And then after
yeah,
reunification, after 1990, it became
yeah.
expensive. And that is when that type of mobility went down.
So now, my question is, when the mobility went down, did you have this urge of still making that mobility happen?
If I wanted to make this mobility, yes, definitely. I
Okay,
had the ache. So just as you described it earlier.
okay, but I can bet you that you did something else, which some other scholars in our field uh, have conceptualized. I'm sure you did it. They call it cognitive migration. I'm sure you did it because of what you just said now. So cognitive migration is about the mind moving even without the body going. So you want to travel to New York while at the airport waiting for your flight. You're already in New York. So you take bits and pieces of New York you read from newspaper, from magazine, from film, movies, and you picture yourself, moving in the streets of New York and stuff. Did you experience that?
Um, what I can say, what I can speak to your question is that the 40 years of separation for the East Germans, they have definitely done that. So there were loads of stories
Exactly.
written in a very specific way where they definitely in the masses. So this ache for moving somewhere was so great that I think that despite all the developments on the Soviet Union side that fell
Yeah.
apart with Glasnost and Perestroika, that the path for the inner political system to deteriorate in Eastern Germany, that was definitely this ache and these minds moving into places that they couldn't visit. There's definitely this part where I would say this is a political dimension,
Hmm.
and we're talking about, we have this in common, the relation to the international relations
Yeah.
here. So this aching, this want, this desperate want to visit the places that you know that are there, that are
Hmm.
great, and that you kind of have literature about whatever. So this mobility of the mind
Yeah.
definitely brought down to a certain extent, and it has definitely an influence on
The world.
how that changed. And I'm really great that Sean came up with us here.
Yeah.
So did I answer your
Yes, of course you
question?
did. Yeah, you did very well. Thank you so much.
So Sean, my friend, great to have you up here. Do you have anything for us?
I do. And you didn't speak to this, but I wonder, I love the idea of cognitive migration and cognitive mobility as part of, if I'm a new arrival in a place and I'm getting adjusted and I'm making that deliberate, conscious choice to do my best to remake a home, visa issues notwithstanding. I'm wondering in the good health component of this, if you've looked at like social interactions and kind of friend groups. I'm imagining that that would play an important part in, at least for me, my sense of home is, if I use a cliche, where my heart is in a sense. And I'm wondering what, if anything, you've seen or came up about interpersonal relationships in this phenomenon.
Yeah. That's the second component of the remedies, the community. That's where the family, the friends and acquaintances exchange psychosocial support. That's the second aspect of it. It relates to good health as well, but it's a different component from good health component. It's very vital
Got
as
it.
well. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, I didn't hear that part. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are almost, the hour's almost up, so, or is up now, I realize. Brahma, you have a question. I invited you to speak. Let me know if it works. Yeah. Do you want to have one of our last questions? Thank you.
Yeah, very itsy bitsy teeny weeny little question. I was very privileged. I managed to travel a lot in my youth. I've lived with my parents in 2 countries, but I traveled and worked in 14 countries in
Wow.
5 continents. And I'm just spellbound by your story, and I need to ponder upon what it means. But to me, I've lost friends because I was away for 10 years from the Netherlands, where I'm currently back. And this state of constant flux, I'm sure you've read Edward Said
Yes, of course.
about
Yeah.
what is the mindset. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, I understand that. But it feels painful, so when major events happen in your life, let's say I've been through a bad week, and I would really like to see my friends, but because I was away for 10 years, there is some sort of a cognitive dissonance. Yeah, they're just not there like they were before. So even if you travel a lot, you carry around your soul in your backpack. And I guess you've moved, and you feel the longing for where you're from. Um, yeah, but it's the same if you travel a lot, I guess, and you're hopping around. I don't know if it's a question really, but so how does it work with friends back where you're from? I think that's my question is,
Brahma, can you
how do
can
you stay
can you
connected?
rephrase your question, please? You said a lot of
Yeah,
things. I wanted to ask you I wanted to say a lot of things to you again, but rephrase your question so that I know specifically.
yeah. So my soul is with my friends, okay?
Yes.
And the question is, if you are elsewhere and you're not where you're from,
Yeah.
um, uh, and that transition up and down, how do you stay close to your friends? We were talking about social media before, but
Okay.
it's better to eat the meal together. I guess that's what it
Yeah,
is.
your question is not really precise, but I know I will see if I can, say one or two things that can, make meaning. Maybe they will be meaningful to you. So, first of all, is you can be cognitively mobilized in multiple places at the same time. So, like you said you've been to 14, you've lived or worked in 14 countries. Probably you may have dropped one or two things in some of them. So I know you may have friends all over the place as well, and it's difficult for you now to remain, even though we live in a mobile world, it's difficult for you to remain in constant communication with them. I'm sure you are experiencing that, like so many other people, and also you long to have more time and to be able to communicate with them as well. So cognitive immobility is the more you try to relate to all these people at the same time, the more you try to you know uh, grab back old times with them, know what's happening, what's going on. As long as they're not within your reach, within your community where you are now, you're kind of entrapping yourself the more.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I have another question. I have something else for you. Mr. Brahama, is it possible for us to, talk about your experiences, maybe later or not today, maybe in the near future? Is it okay?
Absolutely. I like to
Please,
share. I like to storytell. So you're welcome.
if you can leave your email address with Professor Katarina, that would be very wonderful.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you have a couple of minutes more. Victoria arrived. I'm not sure. Victoria, do you have a question? Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Katarina. Hello. I have so many, and I just got here. I'm just on a break between work, so I'll have to listen to the replays. I was reading your paper, and it's just so meaningful. So I can't wait. Maybe I'll have to contact you.
That's
And
fine.
yeah,
I would
thank you
love
for
to
the
hear from you as
opportunity.
well.
Yeah, you read a title, and then it just resonates so much, and I really appreciate that you've done this focused work here. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
I agree. I think this is a really helpful and fascinating framing. How you've approached this problem is inspirational and very thought provoking for a lot of people here, myself included. So thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I really agree. Your paper is about basically my family.
No, you're not
And
unfair to
we
you're not unfaithful to them, please. The thing is, you need to live your
and
life. So you need to create. You need to
yes, exactly.
take yourself like I. Hello. Like
Yeah.
I was speaking with someone the other day. I said the best thing is if someone you just take yourself from the first stage to the last stage of cognitive immobility so that you won't have any issue. So create home where you are now rather than trying to create home all over the place. It will confuse you and create a lot of mental entrapment for you. Get the point?
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
I wish I read, you know, I wish somebody has done your work like when, my family first started moving.
It's okay.
But this is wonderful, and it's such important work. I think, especially for the future, I think we will all move around way more due to finding jobs, climate change. It will affect all of us, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
So this is really important work, and thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it, and thank you especially for coming here today,
Thank you for
sharing your
inviting me.
time and your knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Feel free to invite me any other time, please.
Yes, I will. I will definitely invite you again. This was
Yeah, I would like to use this opportunity to tell your members that if they're interested in having updates on this research, you know, having tidbits about the research and stuff about the research, they can join in a newsletter on cognitivemmobility.com, or they can email me and I will enlist them into the newsletter once in every month. We're not going to spam you. It's just once in every month we'll send something about cognitive immobility to you. Just once in every month.
yes, thank you. I posted the link online, so yeah, I will definitely be part of it. And yeah, feel free everyone to share this with if you know families that migrated and still feel entrapped in the past. This is really helpful. Yeah,
Could I
so,
just throw out
yeah,
one last thought? I missed some of it, so I don't know if anyone mentioned it, but I wondered if you've ever thought about in places where there has been a very rapid change in a particular community due to some kind of modernization, whether some people would suffer from that without having even moved.
You're talking
Anyway,
about
I'm done.
gentrification.
Could be
For
lots of different things.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, gentrification. Yes, if there is gentrification in a particular place, the people who move out from that place can be entrapped in the area they used to live in. That's cognitive immobility. Okay, let me come again. Finally, let me just wrap it up.
yeah,
Cognitive immobility
yes,
is not just about migration. It's about life experiences. So, for example, if you're in a marriage, or if you're in a relationship, or if you've lost someone, or if you grieving trauma, if you're grieving or if you're having trauma, you you can be experiencing cognitive immobility. It's not just about migration. So that's just to wrap it up.
I have posted your link to your website in the room chat.
Okay.
yeah. Thank you. This is yeah. I think this is such an important work, and it will be really interesting to learn more in the future what your ongoing research
Okay.
will will show us. So yeah, we'll invite you back, and thanks for sharing this and making those newsletters.
Thank you. Can I
And
leave now?
yeah, yes,
Okay.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye.
Enjoy the evening. Thank you. And thanks everyone for coming, sharing comments, asking questions. I think this was, yeah, personally, this was a really important room for me. And yeah, feel free to come back, follow the club. We have more guest speaker events like this coming up. We have tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST, Dr. Gross and Dr. Follen talking about A magnificent megabacterium. They found it deep in the ocean, and it kind of gives us hint about how more complex life started back in time. And then we'll have Wednesday at 9 p.m. EST, Dr. Liu talking about um, new genetic research. It's kind of a history time that unravels who were the earliest seafarers and discoverers around the world. So that will be really interesting. And then on Thursday, we'll have Dr. Rich Gu. He will talk about artificial microtubules to transport cargoes. So it's kind of tiny nano robots that can transport stuff. And then on Friday, we'll have quantum physics / consciousness room about how the consciousness quantum theories, how they collapse, basically how it's actually the new real practical experiments they did in his group, how they kind of contradict the quantum consciousness theories by Penrose and so on. So it will be really interesting to learn about his new experiment results in quantum physics, basic quantum physics research, and then putting it into context into the quantum consciousness theory. So it's kind of, if you're into that, I'm really looking forward for that one. We had a lot of discussions here in Science Society about that. And yeah, so will be another great week. I hope to hear you all back soon, and thank you for coming. I'll close the room in 3, 2, 1. Bye, everyone.